what kind of inspired this? Well, first off, earlier this week, I tried maybe 2 or 3 times to upload a video talking about Kevin Nash versus Goldberg at Starrcade 98. And due to copyright issues, I just wasn't able to get the video up, and I just kind of stopped trying because I'm pretty sure audio reasons were the reason for the copyright issues, because I had clips from the actual match in the video with the audio, but the audio was critical to the point in the video, so I didn't want to take that out, and I couldn't really get around it, and I just kept getting copyright stuff. So I just stopped. But I'm like, well, let me maybe talk about it, but just do it in a different format. Maybe I just won't have the audio, and people can go watch the match for themselves if they want their own kind of proof and takeaway. And the reason why I had tried to do that video was because a couple weeks ago I put up a YouTube short, and it was Kevin Nash. This is it. I'm not gonna actually play the audio, but I figured I'd just put up the actual video. It was Kevin Nash talking about, ending Goldberg's streak at Starrcade 1998, right? And he was just kind of making his case, I guess, defending himself to a certain degree, because Goldberg feels like Nash was allegedly the booker at that time, so he booked himself to beat Goldberg and end the streak. And then just a week later, the finger poke of doom happens, and that whole kind of debacle and whatnot. So Kevin Nash is kind of talking about that a little bit. And I put that video on TikTok. I did Instagram Reels, and of course I did YouTube Shorts. But it was the TikTok upload that the comment section there kind of got my attention, because you had people that were kind of pro Goldberg in that situation. There were people that were pro Nash, pro Wolfpack, people that feel Goldberg's very overrated, didn't deserve the position he was in the first place, and actually, interestingly enough, people that feel the same way about Kevin Nash. So it's kind of weird to have those two forces clashing in terms of fan bases, because of the kind of similar criticisms that both guys get, with Goldberg also having the added criticism of people saying that he hurts people. I know Bret Hart is the most famous example. I can't really remember any other specifics, but I know there's other kind of incidents where people point to saying Goldberg's kind of dangerous, clumsy in the ring. So Kevin Nash, kind of rubs people the wrong way, kind of in the same way that Goldberg does. But one of the kind of debates or conversations or just ideas that came up out of some of those conversations or in that comment section was the idea of who was actually more over for their match at Starrcade 98. And for me, the kind of instinctual, let me get this graphic off, the kind of instinctual thought process is that, it was Goldberg, because I remember the energy that was behind him at that time. I remember the wave that was behind him at that time. He had a lot of positive energy behind him. And Kevin Nash, I knew he was a face at that time. I knew Wolfpack was a face at that time, but I couldn't really remember just kind of specifically how people felt about him individually as a performer when he came out. So my default was Goldberg, but I went back and rewatched the match. I watched some of the other matches, but I fast forward to the Goldberg-Nash match, and it was late at night, and WWE Network, and I gotta say, beginning of the match, they're both in their separate corners before they even lock up. And again, this is kind of, like I said, this is unofficial, unnamed stuff right now, so I'm still working out the kinks in terms of the camera and just layout, all those type of things. So I appreciate it if you bear with me. But beginning of the match, they're in their separate corners, they haven't even locked up yet, and they haven't even locked up yet. And so they kind of gauge the crowd. Kevin Nash puts his the Wolfpack click hand gesture in the air or whatever, and he gets a positive reaction from a sizable audible portion of the crowd. Goldberg responds by climbing on the middle rope and gesturing to the crowd, and he also gets a very audible portion of the crowd to react positively to him. At this point, I would actually say 60% in Goldberg's corner and maybe 40% in Kevin Nash's corner. But Kevin Nash, his crowd, you can tell he's got folks in the crowd that are pulling for him, right? So then fast forward to the ending of the match. And of course, we know how the match ends. We got the whole taser situation with Scott Hall. And, that eventually leads to one of Kevin Nash's most impressive executions of the jackknife powerbomb here with Goldberg. And, you go back and watch those matches. Again, copyright reasons, I'm not going to put the actual audio in this video. But the audio is very, very convincing. If you have any, if you don't remember or you have any kind of misrecollection about where the crowd was during this match, the audio at the end of this match is very convincing. This crowd was a pro Nash crowd, at the very least a pro Wolfpack crowd. Or you could even say maybe it was more, they probably liked Scott Hall more than Kevin Nash, but they know that this whole thing happened because Scott Hall, his shenanigans, so that maybe made them appreciate Kevin Nash, what he proceeds to do with the powerbomb. They kind of cheer for that because it's the result of something Scott Hall did. So, if you want to say Scott Hall had all of the kind of the positive energy here, that's fine. But in general, I'd say the crowd was a pro Wolfpack crowd at the very least, right? At this point in time, it's kind of undeniable, the audio, the pop that this moment gets. Even when Scott Hall jumped on the apron with the event staff, the yellow event staff shirt, the kind of trying to have the Clark Kent disguise where you just change clothes, but you keep your face out and all that type of stuff. He's got the cattle prod. When he does that, the crowd, they're like, wait a minute. And they start you hear the murmurs and even the cheers start to rise. Goldberg's kind of stumbling around, flailing around. You see, Kevin Nash kind of stumbles to his feet. You know what this is leading to. You even see, if you watch the actual broadcast, you see, a couple people in the crowd actually gesturing for the jackknife powerbomb. And the energy starts to rise. People know what's coming. Kevin Nash sets him up for the powerbomb. You even hear, I think it's like Mike Tenay or somebody's like, oh no, you hear people like, okay, this is about to Goldberg. It's about to get put down, right? And the crowd rises for it. I'm like, the thing about it, I was actually kind of surprised because I didn't really remember it like that. I remember what happened, but I didn't really remember the crowd pop like that. I was actually a little bit surprised. They were ready for this to happen. They were ready for Goldberg to drop this belt. So very long-winded, but that's why I'm doing the video in this format, to kind of give me freedom and license to kind of ramble on and on about it. But basically, I think this was a pro Kevin Nash, pro Wolfpack crowd by the end of this match. Not saying that's what it was all around the country. And, my issue isn't with how this match ended. Again, obviously, my issue is with what transpired a week later. I think that's actually the biggest issue with people. I think if maybe this happens, Kevin Nash beats Goldberg here and then proceeds to have kind of a bit of a long run with the title, going back and forth with Goldberg, or Goldberg gets the belt back. There were places they could have took this where it wouldn't have left such a sour taste in people's mouths. And I think it's not really so much this ending of Starrcade 98, but more so the ending of Nitro a week later. And then things start to go downhill from there. Because I do think Kevin Nash, I think he's a worthy, in terms of just storytelling, okay? I think he's a worthy belt holder. I think he's a worthy title holder in this scenario. A Kevin Nash Goldberg feud, I think is a good thing, or could have been a good thing. So that's that. Starrcade 98. I know if you're a Goldberg only fan, that's not the most positive thing you want to hear, but But like I said, that's not me picking sides. That's me listening to audio evidence of where the crowd was by the end of that match. So for the specific question, the very specific question of who was more over in that 1998 Starrcade match between Goldberg and Kevin Nash, I gotta say it was Kevin Nash. I watched it and I rewatched it and I heard it and I know what I saw and I know what I heard, and so that is what it is. All right, let's move on. I want to quickly